What if BFDI Season 1 was contestant vote? So the bounce beam contest stays the same, so the teams do as well. This also means the challenge goes the same way, so the grapes lose. Alright, so as you know, it's contestant vote this time, so let's see who everyone voted for. 6 votes Flower, 2 votes Snowball, 1 vote Golf Ball, and 1 vote Ice Cube. TB and GB voted Snowball because GB fought with SB, and TB wanted to support his allies' vote, and SB did the same with GB. And Flower voted for Icy for calling her ugly, but overall, Flower's still out. Anyway, since the same person got out in canon, there's no difference to the challenge. So cherries lose and Needle gets a win token. Time to see who everybody voted for. By the way, Pin doesn't use her token. 5 votes Spongy, 3 votes Bubble, 1 vote Woody, 1 vote Match. Pin voted Woody because she hates Woody more than Spongy. We can see that as she literally vomits on Woody in episode 1B. And the bros voted for Bubble because Blocky would probably think she's a weak link and would get his pals to vote her too. Spongy votes Match for hating him, but overall, he's out. Bye, SpongeBob. So once again, since the same person got out, the same thing happens. So yeah, the cherries lose again and GB wins the win token. Pin doesn't use her token since she got no votes last time. Anyways, speaking of votes, let's see them. Alright, so we got 3 votes Pin, 3 votes Bubble, 2 votes Woody, and 1 vote Pencil. Pencil and Match vote for Pin because she starts showing attitude and made fun of the alliance. Fiery hated Woody because he's scared of Fiery, and Bubble voted Pencil for calling Bubble dumb. But it's actually a tie between Bubble and Pin. So, announcer would say whoever got the lowest score on the test was eliminated. And since Match and Pencil ripped up her test, Bubble's out. All thanks to her alliance. I've never seen her get so eliminated so early in a What If before. So, since in the original episode, Eraser and Pen bought Leafy's cake, Blocky would do it too. And since Blocky would be given a strawberry cake, and Bubble originally made a strawberry cake, let's just say that Bubble just gets the same score as, or Blocky gets the same score as Bubble. So that wouldn't change much to the eating or tiebreaker contest. So the cherries lose once again. Pin also gets yet another win token. Pin is probably going to use one of her tokens since she nearly got eliminated last time. Anyways, let's receive the votes. Oh my god, there is a massive wave of Pin voters here. The bros voted Pin for being rude. Pin votes Match for being rude. But since Pin used her win token, she has 3 votes, which still isn't enough to save her since Match and Woody both only have 1 vote. Going out with a win token is just sad. No matter if Pin or Bubble is here or not, SB's rampage still happens. And he still knocks down TB, GB, and Rocky. And the bridges become impossible to pass. So they'd still do the same tiebreaker and SB will still rip the tie, so the grapes win. I have a feeling this will be close. And it was. Pencil and Match vote Blocky for eliminating Bubble, and the Bros vote Woody for being a weak link. Woody votes Blocky for bullying him, but sadly it was a 3-4 vote. Blocky's safe and gets cake. At least he won't be last place anymore. So this is the episode where we make temporary teams of 3. Blocky will replace Bubble's spot, but everything else is normal. So Pencil and Match would waste time arguing with Blocky, and while the other teams are actually locked in. Once they realize they're in last, I think they'd try to lock in, but they'd become UFE. Leafy's pair still gets win tokens for getting first. There is only one way where this can go. Sorry, Blocky, but your time is up. I mean, he put up a good fight at least. It's time to see who the contestants want back in the game. It's down to Fiery to decide who joins, because Tennis Ball and Golf Ball voted Bubble because they were the best candidates. She was the best candidate to join. Pencil and Match voted Bubble for obvious reasons. Leafy got her pals to vote Pin. Rocky voted for Woody because of random reasons. Ice Cube voted Spongy also because of random reasons. And the Bros obviously wanted Blocky in. Fiery would pick Bubble. Number 1, he doesn't want to agree with Coiny. Well, number 2, Bubble's way nicer. Number 3, I'm out of reasons. Bubble's here. She joined the Cherries since they had 4 members, but now it's time for the epic split up. Anyways, the challenge is a 6-legged race, and since Snowball ties up his team, I think it's safe to say they lose. But Bubble would realize if they lost the challenge and they voted a racer would leave the team. But after they see the grapes, they just decide to do next challenge. So another name is actually getting a new member. Time to see the votes. It's obvious why everybody voted SB, and SB voted Ice Cube because she's an armless wimp. If they have an object under them, then that person wants the contestant to join the game. TB and GB want nothing to do with SB. Rocky agrees with TB. Icy is Fiery's opposite, and Coiny and SB were buds in episode 5, but sadly, it wasn't enough to save him. Bye-bye, Snowball with anger issues. Alright, so the challenge is to cry. Last episode, I said that, the Alliance was trying to sabotage the boys by making their team up for elimination, voting them out. So they wouldn't try to cry. So since another name only has 1 drop of water and the grapes have TD, the grapes get a member from the cherries. This will be a tough one. Yeah, who am I kidding? 2 votes Bub, 3 votes Eraser, they leave the team. Let's see who stays in the game. Yeah, I think they all went Bubble instead of Eraser. Bird didn't even get a single vote to save him. Alright, so the challenge is to stay up in the air with the balloon. And Tennis Ball immediately falls, so he's out. Bubble would say the balloons don't feel right. So Leafy would tighten them, popping Bubble. Then Leafy would go on a rampage, using nails to pop Match and Pen's balloons. Coiny would slap Fiery, causing Teardrop to throw a nail at his balloon, popping it. GB would get mad and rip Teardrop's balloon with her teeth. Pencil would realize if they lost, the Alliance could vote Pen off and later get new team members for their team. So she'd pop her own balloon. For the winning team, it's no doubt another name would annihilate the Grapes, considering they only have 2 members. Alright, this is obvious. I won't hide it. Match and Pen leave the team. 1 eliminated, 1 name. TB chooses Match because Pen called GB a bossy bot, and so does GB, obviously. Fiery also chooses Match as they were buds in the comics. Icy chooses Pen because Match didn't let her in the Alliance, and Coiny doesn't want to agree with Fiery at all. Rocky chooses Pen due to the fact that Match would probably be disgusted by Rocky. That means it's a tie. The tiebreaker contest is to rip a necktie. And I can't lie, but Pen would be stronger. Bye-bye, Matchy. You know what time it is? It's time for the merge. So firstly, we gotta add some points to the people who have win tokens. So here. Secondly, we gotta add points based on the place the contestants did in climbing. Lastly, every time a contestant got a vote, it's -1 points. And alright, so this means Rocky, Coiny, Fiery, and Pen are up for elimination. Time to see the voting. Okay, that didn't go how I planned. I guess we'll have to have a tiebreaker vote, and you already know who can't break a necktie. Alright, so I think Pencil would let Icy into the Alliance to be Match's alt, so they'd work together. That also means Leafy would work with Teardrop to find red balls. Pencil and Bubble find 2 balls. Pencil would toss the maroon ball to Bubble. So Pencil's the first to find a ball, giving her 30 points. However, because Bubble turned in a maroon ball, she gets a 10-point penalty. She wouldn't kick the ball away, so Leafy and Teardrop don't find a ball until later. I think after that, Needle would find a ball, resulting in her getting 20 points. Fiery slaps Coiny the whole contest, so he wouldn't find a ball out of a tree. I think that would be 10 tennis balls, so he gets 15 points. He'd also kick the tree another time and give golf ball, so she gets 12 points. Then Leafy finds a ball and gives it to Teardrop, and it's actually a red ball. Teardrop would thank Leafy somehow in sign language and get 10 points. Then nobody would pop Bubble when she goes to find a ball, since Blocky isn't here, so she gets 8 points. Eraser originally found a maroon ball, but since he's not here, I think Pen would give a maroon ball to the announcer and receive a 10 points penalty. Leafy then finds a ball off of a cliff and gets 4 points. And Pen is the last to find a ball, getting 3 points because Fiery and Coiny are slapping and fighting. The danger zoners this time are Coiny, Fiery, Bubble, and Pen. Time to see the votes. Another tie. The tiebreaker is to jump off a ledge this time. The last to do so is eliminated. Fiery and Coiny are too busy fighting, and Pen would be very, very worried and jump first. But as we all know, the announcer likes to do some trolling, and, well, jumping off the ledge is actually a one-way ticket to the TLC. So that means Pen had one job to win for the bros, and he screwed up. It's time for another rejoin. Fiery would vote Match because they've known each other since the comics. Corny votes Snowball because they were chill with each other in episode 5. TB and GB vote Flower because in episode 1 they were the best one to join their team according to their calculations and stuff. Leafy would get Needle and TD to vote for Pin. The Alliance obviously wants Match, so that means... Wow, Match rejoined the same episode she originally left. Since 4 people voted for Match to rejoin, and she got out on the 12th episode, 4 times 12 equals 48. So she gets 48 points. Anyway, in the original episode, TB got 15 bonus points for having a magnet. But I think GB would have one too and be the first to get the marbles. So she gets the point. Anyways, announcer still gives armless contestants pity points. The challenge is hurdles, so GB falls on the first hurdle. She's too short, and Tennis Ball would fall down with her, so they get no points. Fiery and Coiny would be too busy slapping and fall on the first hurdle. Icy probably falls on hurdle 2 because the only reason she got up that one is because they did Alliance Power, but Pencil and Bubble would do that with Match now, so Icy gets 5 points. Then on the third hurdle, Pencil and Match fall. I think this is where Leafy falls too. On the fourth hurdle, Teardrop falls, leaving Needle and Bubble to get 20 points. And the fifth hurdle, come on, it's a Saw Blade. They both die. So Bubble and Needle get 25 each points. So that means Fiery, Coiny, Match, and TB are up for elimination. Let's see. Oh my god, no way. Coiny and Fiery voted each other for obvious reasons. Match voted TB for being friends with the Bossy Bot, and TB votes Fiery because during the rejoin voting, Fiery would get bored because he doesn't have someone to slap. Coiny's probably talking to Snowball. He slaps TB on accident. It happens in the original episode too. So, therefore, it's confirmed. We're having a different winner. This is the timeline where Coiny wins the rivalry. Therefore, I like this timeline. Coiny's the GOAT. Pencil would officially exclude Icy from the Alliance. So Icy would probably become friends with TD and Leafy, but she'd be more like a third wheel, kind of. Anyways, moving on. Here's where everybody votes between Barf Bag and Taco. Alright, so Leafy would tell TD to pick the taco contest. And Icy probably hasn't interacted with Leafy yet. So she picks the Barf Bag contest. Starting with the Barf Bag contest, Pencil would make her Alliance and everybody go for Needle, and she'd dodge everything. She'd catch the bowling ball, and they jump over it. And the bowling ball causes a leak in the barf bag. Luckily, Pencil covers it with a pillow. Pencil would get mad at Needle, throwing vomit at her. And if Blocky gets knocked off by vomit, I think Needle would too. Pencil would then make her so-called ice cream, putting vomit on Icy, and then just adding whipped cream. Instead of giving it to Bubble, I think she'd give it to Match, considering they're closer. She'd try it, and it's so bad, she gets knocked off. and drops Icy. Then the pillow falls out of place, killing Bubble and letting Pencil escape. Ding, 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 ding. These are the scores. Well, for the Barf baggers. Now it's time for the taco contest. Leafy would help Teardrop make her taco, but the same as Pen. People would tell she cheated, so Teardrop gets a 3 out of 10. Honestly, I don't think Coiny has the strength to make a a taco, so he just makes dirt, 1 out of 10. Golf Ball probably gets an 8 out of 10. I'm guessing she's good at this. So, these are the scores. In the danger zone are Coiny, Match, and Tennis Ball. Let's see the votes. Okay, so TB has 2 reasons to vote Match. One, Match thinks he's a nerd. 2, he has a chance to weaken the alliance here, so he'd take it. Coiny votes Match because he'd want to take an alliance member down, so I guess Match is out. She literally just got out after rejoining like an episode ago. The contest is bowling. Armless people cannot go bowling. Coiny would get 5 out of 10. He seems mid, while Needle gets a 10 out of 10 and Teardrop gets a 6 out of 10. The rest are canon. Leafy knocked down 3 pins, so she'd want equality and takes 20 points off everybody. Pencil subtracts 25 points off of everybody but the alliance. Icy would join the alliance just to be Match's sub yet again. Coiny also knocked 5 pins down. He'd subtract 60 from Leafy and Pencil for lowering his score. Then he'd just waste 30 points on GB for being a bossy bot. Teardrop gets to subtract 180 points. She'd subtract 60 from Leafy and Pencil for lowering her score, and she'd subtract 60 from Needle for probably slapping her once or twice for calling her needy. Hey, I didn't even call you needy that time. Whatever. Now, Needle gets to subtract 300 points. She'd subtract 100 from Leafy, Pencil, and TD for lowering her score. Since Needle got on all 10 pins, everyone but her are up for elimination. Time to see these votes. Yeah, GB was doomed from the moment she was up for elimination. Tennis Ball and Golf Ball voted Bubble to weaken the alliance more, and everybody else voted GB for obvious reasons. Hey, at least she made it farther. It's time for frisbee throwing. Pencil still pairs with Bubble. Teardrop would pair with Leafy since they're closer than original. And Coiny teams with TB, leaving Ice Cube and Needle. Pencil and Bubble still get first. Leafy and TD get close second. Coiny and Tennis Ball get third. And Needle would crack Icy, causing them to get fourth. Now it's time for what I like to call the awards ceremony. First, for getting first place, Pencil and Bubble get 200 points each. Leafy and TD get 100 points each for getting second. Coiny and TB get 15 points each for getting third. And Needle, and Icy get minus 1,000 points for getting last. Needle, Icy, and Leafy are up for elimination. But the safe contestants get to choose who to eliminate and who debuts. Alright, so let's see. Coiny votes Needle for being a slapper. He can't be talking. TB votes Icy to weaken the alliance. TD votes Needle for the same reason as Coiny. Bubble votes Needle because Icy's in the alliance, and Leafy gave Bubble a present, and Pencil votes with the majority. Bye-bye, Needy. Oh, sorry, Needle. It's debut time, which is also contestant vote. Nickel would hide his to-do list, replace Coiny. So Coiny would see the similarities and vote him. He doesn't know about what happens when they get close to each other yet. TB votes basketball because they also have a lot of similarities. Leafy votes Grassy because he's the nicest and most similar to Leafy, besides Tree. Pencil votes Marker because they're both art utensils, and she also gets her alliance to agree with her. Teardrop votes non-existy because they both don't talk, but Marker starts out with 0 points. The scoreboard can only hold two-digit numbers due to budget cuts. The challenge is a staring contest. I've got the bracket. Icy would probably win against TB. Since TD isn't much of a powerful contestant in Season 1, Pencil beat her. Coiny probably beats Marker considering his IQ. And Leafy versus Bubble was canon, so Bubble wins. Pencil would threaten to kick Icy out of the alliance if she doesn't blink, so Pencil wins. And Coiny beats Bubble, probably with violence. Considering Pencil can hold her eyes open for a day, Coiny doesn't really stand a chance. For being quarterfinalists, TB, Leafy, Marker, and Teardrop get 5 points each. For being semi-finalists, Icy and Bubble get 15 points each. For getting second place, Coiny gets 30 points. And for getting first place, Pencil gets 60 points. Marker, Tennis Ball, and Ice Cube are up for elimination. Let's see. Alright, so TB votes Icy for the alliance and stuff and tries to weaken it. He'd tell Marker to vote her as well, and Icy votes TB for being a nerd. Bye-bye, Icy. Go cool down the TLC. You know what this means? Merge! Time for the Unicycle race. Leafy and TD fall off a cliff, so they're out of the challenge. Coiny probably replaces what Fiery does, and Tennis Ball would knock Coiny to the announcer, so Coiny's safe. Tennis Ball would then ask for help, so Coiny helps him up. Lastly, Pencil makes it before Bubble, probably, so she's safe. Coiny gets to choose someone to be safe along with him, TB, and Pencil. He chose Marker because Marker hasn't won immunity yet. This is very obvious. Although Leafy caused TD to be up for elimination, Leafy to tell TD that they have a chance to literally destroy the alliance, which makes their chance of winning bigger, so she'd be convinced. And plus, she isn't as vengeful as Icy. Another finalist bites the dust. It's time to go to space. In the original, Icy was hit by an asteroid and Rocky was abducted. But in this, TD is hit by an asteroid and Tennis Ball is abducted. Now we gotta get in our spaceships. Marker wouldn't get in the spaceship, and he would get hit by an asteroid because he's dumber than Fiery. Leafy and Coiny would team up and target Pencil. And Pencil would dodge all the bullets and shoot Leafy. That means it's Pencil versus Coiny, the two finalists in the staring contest. Everything's good until Pencil starts drifting towards a black hole, and she'd probably replace Spongy, getting sucked up, meaning Coiny wins the challenge. Announcer would sell the black hole because of budget cuts, and Coiny wouldn't get sucked up. Coiny gets to choose another person to win immunity. He'd choose Leafy since they shared a bond teaming on Pencil, I guess. The eliminated contestants get to choose who gets eliminated here. Flower votes TB for being a nerd. Spongy votes Pencil for hating him, while Pin votes Pencil for being rude to her. Woody votes TB because he's the least scary, and Blocky votes TB for being nerdy. Snowball can't shut his mouth and says TB would cool the TLC down a ton, which makes everybody else vote her. Hey, she went much farther here, though. It's time for these guys to vote for who they want to rejoin. Pencil, Coiny, and TB's votes are obvious. Marker votes Pen because they're both utensils for art, and Leafy votes Icy because TD just got out and it would only be fair. I think once Pencil realizes Icy would be a good one, I think she would switch her vote. So Icy's back in the game. Long jumping, Leafy still wins, but she'd give her immunity to Tennis Ball because they'd use him as fuel for the rocket ship. This one's gonna be close. I forgot to add the slide, but Icy and Pencil vote Coiny because he's a threat, and Leafy and Coiny vote Pencil because she's the biggest threat besides Coiny. But Marker votes Coiny because Pencil and Icy voted for him to debut. And Leafy is very nice. Hey, he got so much further. That's something, right? At this point, he's probably his BFDI self. I'm guessing there's a Pencil and Tennis Ball speaker box. So the challenge is to try to escape the volcano, but it erupts and the recovery center recovers everyone outside of the volcano. So the new challenge is a beauty contest, and the speaker boxes are biased. So Leafy tells Icy to vote Marker, but Icy voted for Leafy for revenge, and Marker votes for Icy because Leafy's nice. There'd be a tiebreaker, and there's one person here who doesn't have hands to rip a tie. She barely made it any further. Okay, so TB gets stuck on rock climbing. Marker would get stuck on the test because he's a dummy. And that leaves Leafy and Pencil. Pencil is the most likely to trip on that rock, so she falls. Therefore, this is hecka obvious. They vote TB because he's a nerd, and TB votes Pencil because, I don't know, she's the best option. He had an extremely good run, though. It's our final three. Since it's contestant vote, the jurors get to decide who wins. These are the votes. Fiery Match, Bubble, and Icy vote Pencil for obvious reasons. Pen is the only one to vote Marker because they're both art utensils, and everyone else votes Leafy for obvious reasons. It's honestly not close. Leafy obviously wins. For anybody who's wondering, Leafy lets everyone on Dream Island, so BFDIA never happened, and they all live happily ever after.